You know the name. Again, see, he says I talk all the time, but I got
What name?
The one-word answer guy. Welcome to the Dave and Dave Show.
Episode number 55. My age.
When are you gonna stop? You think at 58?
No, I've been giving them to you lately.
Beautiful. So today is just the two of us. Remember that Will Smith song? You remember that Will Smith song? You two are too young. Remember that? Just the two of us. He raps to it,
Yeah.
right? And in the video, it's him and his son.
We can make it if we try, but it isn't a Will Smith song, but it's okay.
I know, it's an older song.
Right.
That was our song. That was our jam. Just the two of us. Pops and I. Even though we're only on episode 55, we're in year 41.
Yes, soon to boy be 42.
Oh, even when you do talk.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Nostradamus episode. You guys know what Nostradamus is? We got two no's. We got yes. You know what Nostradamus is? I should probably look up the Wikipedia for it.
There's no song for Nostradamus.
I'm not going with the song. Nostradamus is this guy in the past, and he predicted a ton of things.
Yeah, the future.
That was in the future. So
I like Amadeus better than Nostradamus.
it mean.
Amadeus.
How does Amadeus have anything?
Amadeus.
Oh, we're starting off well here. I don't know where to look. Looks like we're famous.
Almost.
Do we need a shot of this? Dan, can you do a shot of what we're looking at with this? This is me being a pain in the butt.
Which you are.
I can't even. You know, on Facebook, you can't even write SH. There's the guys. Increment Media, you're not allowed to buy them. No, I'm just kidding.
Buy the stock.
I forgot my train of thought. Oh, when you promote posts on Facebook, even if you do SH*T, they still deny it. So I always get Facebook ad not approved. Facebook ad not approved. So I have to change it. So no cursing. All right. So Nostradamus was a man who used to be able to predict the future. Now we always tell our agents. What do we tell them, Pops?
We can never talk about the future, only the past.
So basically what he intended to say is this. In our profession, you can't make guarantees about what's going to happen.
You bet.
There always has to be a caveat or a disclaimer or a disclosure saying that this is our best guess based on previous statistics and present statistics. And listen, all the experts and what they're saying. Now, in our industry, you are allowed to share with your clients articles and podcasts and things like that on other people's opinions.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong with this. He's probably going to give me a little pushback on this. So I'm going to be Nostradamus on this and see if he's going to give me pushback. You can say, listen, what do you always say? I don't have a crystal ball and a turban, right?
Turban, right.
But you can say, this is what I believe for me. I bought this house, or I intend on buying an investment property because personally, I feel like this is what's going to happen in my own personal business.
The disclaimer is don't say that because they're going to say as a licensed realtor you gave an opinion. I took an Uber last night home.
I disagree.
I took an Uber last night.
I disagree with that.
Listen to me. I took an Uber last night and the woman said to me, I just got out of the car with a guy that lives on the Strip and the resort world's going up and he lost his view. And he said, I am going to sue my realtor because my realtor guaranteed I would have this view forever. There are no guarantees. There are no promises. Dave could say, if the world stays as it is, I should get appreciation. But tomorrow, we could be flooded by a major flood, and we will have no base.
Remember that client I had? She was a little tuzipats.
Tuzipats.
Tuzipats. You want to explain what tuzipats is?
Crazy.
A little crazy. In Italian, my dad and I will look at each other, and we have a great way of talking to each other without saying things, or we'll say like something and like, so I'll be like, well, you know, a little tuzi, right? Tuzi means run, right? Although he runs towards it because he loves tuzi pots. She was a little crazy, and I remember Haiti Kasama was on the listing side and I was on the buy side, and I had negotiated a beautiful deal. I sound like I don't want to talk about
No,
who I sound like.
I know who you sound like.
I negotiated a really good deal for this lady, and she had more money than God. And it was on the golf course. What are the lots where it's the golf course, then the mountain? I want to say it was like Timber Mountain or the Outer Loop. It was the Outer Loop in Red Rock.
It depends. It could have been
What does Glowing Sunset turn into?
Evergreen Creek.
All right, it was Evergreen Creek. It was a Palo Verde.
Mhm.
It was gorgeous. We negotiated a great price. And she wanted guarantees that nothing was going to happen to the golf course and nothing was going to happen to the view of the mountains. And I said, listen, I got frustrated, right? And I said, I don't know. A nuclear missile could one day hit it. Vegas can go out of business. And they can, this was before golf courses were going out of business, remember
Which
that?
they are now.
Now they are. And I said, I don't know. Like,
But not Red Rock.
I said, there's no guarantees in life.
Right.
Right? I can't give you that guarantee that this is going to be like that forever. Right?
Yes.
My frustration levels, I was like, if I had the money at the time, I would have bought the house. God love Haiti. I'll give you a shout out. We negotiated back and forth. I think it was like 8 counters, which you rarely see because normally when you get to that point, you can verbally negotiate. Haiti worked really hard on it. I worked really hard on it, and the buyer walked. And then what happened to the price of the house? Through the roof. That I digress. I basically was like, I can't guarantee you this.
Cannot.
Some realtors would have been like, what?
I guarantee it. I'll put it in writing.
Not even put in writing because they're too shifty for that.
Mhm.
They basically would have guaranteed it. So we can't guarantee anything. And then you'd say, well, what's the use of having a realtor? And the thing is, we can give you all of
The pertinent facts.
the important stuff, the ancillary. The ancillary information is some of the most important ones, right? So you basically, you try to predict the future without guaranteeing it,
Mhm.
right? Off of present and past analysis. That's
Mhm.
what everyone does.
Since
in life.
then, the irony to his point in conversation is Queensridge, Badlands.
No, that's the same one.
Uh,
Badlands
I'm
is at-
sorry, not
is at
Badlands.
Queensridge.
Black Mountain.
That's at
That's gone under.
yeah.
And what's the
The
one?
one in Legacy. Did that go under?
No,
in
right
Green Valley?
back. What's the one up with the Pulte homes up in the northwest where everybody, they can't build on
I
it, but
can't think
there's
of the
no
name.
more golf course. So since that statement, 3 golf courses have gone under. We can't guarantee it.
can't
Do I
guarantee
agree with it? No. My theory when I was asked is if the builder bought that land as a golf course, it was 25% the price of what it would be if it was buildable land. So they should have given everyone that built on the golf course, everyone that paid for a premium, they should have gave that money back.
That's
Because you paid to be on a golf course that no longer exists.
one way or another. That's neither here nor there because I disagree with it. I think that golf courses are on their way out, and what's going to happen in Badlands if they ever figure it out is they're going to get multi-million-dollar houses behind them in big backyards. I think it's all going to work out. But here, so let's talk. You brought up a great point without realizing it. Your personal opinion, do you think houses in Queensridge are priced more competitively because of that situation right now than they'll ever be?
Yes,
So if you saw an amazing deal in Queensridge,
yes. Amazing price, yes.
amazing price,
Mm-hmm.
there's a threshold that you'll say, hey, listen, am I correct on this? Maybe we should buy this because it's still guard gated,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually they're going to figure this out.
Well, in the end, I analyze it and say to people, it's going to be like where you lived at.
Reverence, when I
Reverence.
used to be, or where I live now.
Yeah, it's going to be all these meandering trails. You're going to have your guard gate. You're going to have your club, but you're not going to have a golf course, which is a beautiful thing.
Yep.
But if you were on a golf course and you paid a $300,000
That's not the
lot
point of this.
premium, I know it's not the point. That's where the value is lost. That's all I'm saying. Everyone else that's not on the golf course, by now the prices are actually better because of the issue.
But what's causing the pricing? Now this is part of what we're going to talk about today. What we are talking about. The reason why the prices are not great right now is because of one word and one word only: uncertainty. That's it. If they would make a decision one way or another, if anyone from Queensridge or Badlands is watching, make a decision. who cares which way it goes? The minute you make a decision and you have certainty, prices, I believe, will go up. I really
They'll
do.
level. They'll level.
Well, they were talking about at one point of building those condos and that cool little area next to one Queensridge place, right off of Rampart. That would be cool as could be. Then they're gonna sell custom lots behind you, and you get great views, and you're looking at a $5 million house. I think that's a great opportunity. But you see how we're having this debate, right? This is the conversation we would have, or you should be having,
With your client.
with your client, right?
Yeah, because right now, it's so fighting going on right now. The gates are down.
Yeah.
And you could walk into Queensridge
You could walk
now,
right
which
in.
is a God-gated community. The trees have been cut down. The ponds
High risk,
are empty.
high risk,
Right now, it isn't the most stellar place to live in.
high risk, high reward.
You bet. Pricing right.
And what's the worst case scenario? You're in a guard gated community.
You bet. In the end, you will be in a guard-gated community without a golf course, which is a beautiful thing.
And we're
In the
gonna
heart of the great area.
a beautiful area, and what they're doing in Boca Park, they're revamping some stuff in there. Tivoli, I believe, is going to have a renaissance. So there's some nice things. So let's talk about the market. What is prompting this conversation? So stats just came out for September. So Mr. Buyer's Market over here,
Still a buyer's market.
prices are up to $310,000 median. What was the high in 2006, my friend?
315.
315. Compare this market in 2019 going into 2020 versus 2006 and going into 7 going into 8. What's one of the big differences or a couple of the differences?
Well, first of all, when we compare median price from 13 years ago,
Wow.
there's inflation involved. So the cost of housing is not the same. So even though we're up to 310, it is still a phenomenal market to buy, and we could compare it to what you could buy in 2006 at a certain price and what you spend now. So my point is Las Vegas is still a phenomenal place to buy, because with the low interest rate and the low prices, it's still the place to buy in the whole country.
So let's extrapolate on that. But my main question was, is it a stronger market now versus back in 2006? Because I believe it was an artificially inflated market back then because of everyone in this room would have owned 5 houses.
We have to talk about mortgaging,
right?
If we're going to bring that conversation up.
I want to, but you brought up something about the value of the houses versus the value of them now, right?
Right.
And there's a chart that we'll post underneath here, and it shows all across America how much it dipped, how far it's come back, and then how far it's gone over and above their highest median prices.
Even we're in that category in new home sales.
In new home sales. So his point is, we have exceeded the average price in new home sales ever. Or we've already gone way over that.
Because of the price of material.
But we're one of the only cities, major cities, we are, if not the only major city,
Yeah, major metropolitan city.
that has not exceeded the median price on resales. See, what happened in most cities is they saw a 20% correction when in 2006, 2007. It went down 20%. And from there point on, it's gone up that same 20 and then went another 10, 15 over. So they're up. Even some really small cities are plus 8%, plus 10%. We are still technically below. So 5,000 on 315, you're talking still a percent and a half under. So I'm reading these posts online because Channel 8 was all over this, and you gotta love the cynicism of social media. They're like, sell now, wait, here comes the next bubble and all that, right? Like that's what's happening.
Yeah, because they don't know what they're talking about.
You know, we are still, this is where I think we agree completely. I think we agree on all the stats, we just, on maybe the interpretation of it, I believe we're still undervalued in Las Vegas.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because if you, listen, all one has to do is go on to Realtor.com, for instance, and search from Manhattan Beach all the way down to La Jolla or even down to San Diego, right? And look at the prices and what you can get for $2 million.
Well, here you could live
And
in
there's nothing.
in 800,000. You could live in a 2,700 square foot with a pool and spa and a guard-gated country club. There for 800,000, you could live in a shack, a 1-bedroom, 1,000 square foot shack.
So macro, there are some, New York is seeing, they're having problems selling their houses, especially in the city in Manhattan, because they kept seeing just these record highs, and let me beat those highs. There's been an oversaturation, and I believe even on the super elite high end, super luxury high end, there's this feeling of like, okay, these prices are getting ridiculous, so the houses are staying on the market a little bit longer there. But as far as Vegas goes, like a micro market, I am super bullish still for the next 5 years.
Well, I'm bullish on what I see now. I see that we have more buyers.
Can I give the caveat? We don't know what's going to happen in the government, wars, elections, things like that. We can't control that. If you just look at the numbers.
Yeah, it's really good. Now, at the same time, interest rates are phenomenal, about 3%, 3.5%.
So let's talk about the top 5 reasons why we believe we're on the bull side of this.
Okay.
Go for it. So interest rates.
Interest rates. We have inventory. Other
Okay.
towns are saying they have nothing. Cities are saying they have nothing to sell. We do.
So it says right here we have 7,334. That was at the end of the month. You have here 7,446
Right.
homes with an average of about 22,750 homes a month selling, not including high rises. But even then, you got about
Right.
3,400 houses trading a month.
Right.
With an inventory of about 91. It's still a 2.5 to 3 month inventory.
So it's 2.7.
I know, I'm putting them together.
Got it. Now, the other thing we have, the cry, because I'm with NAR.
Yeah.
The cry nationally is we have no new homes being built. We do.
So what are the 4 reasons why, the 4 L's, you gotta remember this. The 4 L's of why new homes are limited right now is labor, lumber, land, and legislation. Those are your 4, right? That's why we're probably never going to see what we saw in the past with builders building, like we used to build 3,000 homes a month.
Thank God.
In Vegas. It was very hard to sustain. Now we're going to see.
And we had to get on a waiting list to sell.
Which is insane. But this was people not living in it. We had a lot of vacant homes.
Yeah.
Now you're going to see 10 to 12,000 homes max.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it's 1,000 a month, right?
But the point is, if someone came to Las Vegas to buy today, they would get a really competitive interest rate, let's say 3.5. They would be able to look at new
And negotiate.
and get goodies with that.
Yep.
And they would be able to look at numerous resales in their market and find what they're looking for. So there isn't any buyer complaining like my year as president in 13, all the investors were
Mine in
buying,
17.
so they couldn't find inventory. They're good. Perfect time to buy.
Okay, so interest rates are good. We're seeing a ton of businesses, both fun and under the radar, coming. So all the tech giants are coming to our state and our city. All of the professional sports are either here or there's rumors of them coming. From what I understand,
Oakland A's,
MGM is figuring it out with bringing a basketball team. We're going to be an expansion city. And then, so what happened with the Oakland A's is on ESPN.com. The commissioner for the Major League Baseball threatened that what was going to happen with the Raiders is going to happen with the A's.
He used us.
But the truth is, you have a very established older city like Oakland with tons of red tape and bureaucracy. You have the city involved, the county, and the team, and they're having a hard time figuring it out.
Where would they put them though? That's what I wanted to
It's
ask.
going to be in Oakland on the same site.
No. If they came here.
Oh, I don't know. There has been the rumors. I don't think there's any truth in them, but the rumors were
The Rio?
the Rio site, because there's a lot of space on the back end. I don't
There
see
is.
them knocking down a casino, but that's just me.
Especially since they just sold it.
But there's a lot of excitement around our city with things like that, right? Then you have the weather. I mean, Yeah, it's super hot here in the summer, but the average
Like I
temperature
said,
is
it's
70
40,
something
45 days that you don't want to be here.
I don't know about 45.
60.
Hey,
Why
we-
is 60?
I'm not gonna say that. I was
Okay.
kidding. We got number one in something just recently, but I can't say it on here.
Don't say it.
I wanna say it so bad.
Don't say it. We were the 5th city in the United States to buy a house in. Number 1 was
Fifth
it.
city in the United States to buy a house in. What
Yep.
the hell does that mean?
The 5th best city
Fifth best city.
to buy a house in the United States.
The fifth best city.
Virginia Beach was first. Las Vegas.
I still don't know what the context you're talking about.
Facebook.
Facebook. See, this is what I'm doing. We're the fifth city. Don't know why. The fifth what? Fifth best climate. Fifth
No,
best,
it was a combination of everything.
fifth best for students.
No, they had that.
Fifth
We
best.
didn't rate too well for students.
Well, Facebook said it,
let's
so it
just
must be
do
true.
a little. Yeah, Facebook said it. Let's just do a little back for the people out there that really don't understand what the bubble and how it happened and how it isn't going to happen again.
Well,
'Cause
I thought you said you couldn't predict that it wasn't going to happen again.
Well, I'm saying why. All right, let's go with the past then. Why it happened.
Why did the bubble happen?
Right.
Couple of reasons. Number one was lending.
Biggest
Right.
one.
And this just wasn't in Las Vegas, this was everywhere.
You bet.
Right, but what was happening is you just needed a pulse, and in some cases, some really dirty people, dead people, were buying houses.
Right.
And it was
Zero down, 125% mortgage, you get money back. We had one client that worked in a place that had no documented income.
No doc
Wasn't
loans, yeah.
ours, but in
Yeah.
our company, and they bought 14 houses. And when that pyramid fell, it fell to the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody.
watch The Big Short. It's a great, or read the book. I mean,
Right.
that explains it wonderful. It was
So-
the stock market too. So Wall
Right.
Street was doing these mortgage-backed securities,
Right.
and basically they were what I like to say, measuring from the small of their back. They
Right.
were saying that this loan paper that you can trade and buy was
Mhm.
grade A, and really they were putting in like it's
The
like
worst.
it's like meat, right? So you
Right.
get top grade A sirloin, and what they were doing is they were sneaking in like chopped meat.
So to make
right?
it easy to say, they were bogus loans on bogus sales that all fell apart, and since that happened,
Well,
it
what was happening is people were buying houses, and they were buying with so much credit
right.
that by the minute they closed, if the market didn't change,
They
they were
flipped it.
already under.
Right.
So like with no appreciation, they were already in a short sale position.
Right. So what happened was all those houses fell apart, and we had to crash. People today are saying, "Oh,
But what other reasons?
well,
So what was happening is you'd buy a house in September, a new home. By the time it closed 6 months later, it was worth $100,000 more.
Right.
So people did this over and over and over. But it was a game of musical chairs. When the music stopped, you better have a chair.
It was lending, because what happened is then they couldn't rent them. Then they were
It's also
taking
greed.
equity loans
Greed.
all the way up to the top and buying boats and going on vacations. All these lending practices did not happen for the last 6 years. So when you say, "Ooh, I'm going to buy a house," and wait until it crashes again, it may drop a little bit.
Well, Dodd-Frank, right? So
Right.
Dodd-Frank, very controversial piece of legislation. There's some really great things in there. If you want to be just literally honest about it, not political, there's some amazing things in it, and there's some horrible things in it.
Right.
One of the really good things was there was regulation on lending. It changed the entire industry, got out a lot of the bad actors, and put some tight reins on the market. If we didn't have that right now, prices would be insane. Because one of the reasons why our median price hasn't completely exceeded, and I believe why Vegas hasn't, this is just a little epiphany,
Mm-hmm.
because Vegas median income, I don't believe, is rising super fast.
No, it is not.
Therefore, our median price can't sustain 325, 350, 380 with the current lending practices in place.
Right.
Does that make
So,
sense?
yes, so he's getting deep, and that's good, so for those of you who do
Or
understand.
sophisticated.
What I'm trying to say
in
is,
this part of the industry.
if I,
You could be sophisticated in general.
oh,
I don't want to. I got to be like
Well, we'll give
politically
you-
correct here. You
we'll
can be
let you
sophisticated. I'm
we'll
sorry.
let you be sophisticated in this part. So basically, what I'm saying is that won't happen again. Am I saying that the market can't decrease? Of course it can. Price could decrease, but not what happened in that 2006 to 2013. Because that time, or 2008 is when it started, right after you closed on your house, the banks started falling.
Closed, he means selling. I
Yes.
sold my house the day Washington Mutual went under.
But what I'm saying is that will not happen again. That's all I'm
It
saying.
won't be from lending. So a lot of the experts are saying that we may see a little bit of a recession, but it's not going to be fueled by the housing market.
No.
So even the conservative ones are saying that we should see very minimal appreciation, but they're still saying appreciation.
Yeah.
Whereas the people who are like super excited about the market, they think they're saying big appreciation. So we're seeing anywhere from predictions from 4% in the next 5 years to 23. I mean, it's across the board. Now, I also wrote here, is it possible to time the market, and should you even try? Right?
No.
What we do know as a stat, we talk about patience in the long game a lot. And if you look at the stock market or the real estate market, basically it's like this. It's a roller coaster that every time goes up. So it goes up, hits a peak, goes down, then when it comes back up, it's a little bit higher. So if you take the last 100 years or 50 years, it averages out to about a 2 or 3% appreciation a year. It stays with inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, you'll have a situation like my uncle, right? Where you could buy something in 1974 in a not so great part of Brooklyn for $34,000, a brownstone, and then sell it in 2019 for over $3 million. Or was it 3?
2.85.
2.85. That's a nice
He
return
only
on
made
money.
He only made 2,800,000. Yay, Danny.
45 years though.
Yeah.
45
He
years.
lived in the house for 45 years.
But in the last 15, he probably could have pulled out money like that.
Oh, in the last 5, it became a hipster's,
Of course,
Hawk
Brooklyn
slope.
became hot. But that's why people are like, if you sit on real estate long enough,
You'll make money.
you'll make money.
And
You just have
that's
to be
why,
patient.
and I'm not knocking anyone that did lose a house during that time,
Yeah.
but Dave and I didn't, because we put 20% down and we rented them right. So if you even bought in the crazy time, which we did.
Let's tell the
We
story
did-
of Ivy Glen. It's the best story ever, right?
Okay.
So he bought a house in Ivy Glen. What was the name of the street? Early Morning? No, that's in
Early Morning.
Was it Early Morning? A one-story, 1,800 square foot home. He bought it like a couple weeks after 9/11,
Yeah.
right?
I
For
did.
$171,000.
Yep.
Okay, it was a rental from day one.
Yep.
Okay, so it was generating interest. So people,
Income.
excuse me, good point. People always worried about their net equity rather than their cash flow, which I think is really, it's a dumb way to go about it. You want to always be in good position with equity and know when to sell, when to buy, but you really want to be focused on your cash every month on the house. So, did you own a cash back then?
No, I had a loan on it.
No, first you bought a cash, then you put a HELOC on it.
A HELOC, yeah.
But it's a strong house. He bought it intelligently. He bought the right lot. He put the right amount of money into it, and you got $1,500 a month for probably up until let's say 2006, right? So 5 years of strong monthly cash inflow.
Never emptied that house.
Never empty, right? Almost every friend we have has lived in it at one point.
During transitions, yeah.
So, what was the high in 2006? What was it worth? It went from 170 to what?
I would say about 440.
No, it never got to 440. That was in my community up in the Vistas.
No, it got
about
maybe
410,
420. Yeah.
So he was looking at 200 after taxes and nonsense of pure equity and profit. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
And then 2007 and 8 happened. How low did it go?
Some of them neighbors sold for 170.
Back to the original price.
Yeah.
Guess what he was still doing every month?
renting it.
taking in income. So did it matter to you that it was worth 170 or 410?
Nope.
No, because that's like saying I'm worth this money. You're not worth the money unless you realize it in your bank account. So you wrote it out. Then in 2009, when we had sold our houses in Red Rock, now this is where my father's discipline comes in so strong. We both sold our houses in Red Rock. We both
2008.
2008. We moved into a rental together, one of his other rentals. And what we decided was, I mean, it was so kind. I mean, we had furniture piled to like the second floor.
In the living room, two-story living room, we had permanent.
Living together. It was
not fun.
Not fun at all. But he was waiting for his renter to move out of Ivy Glen, right? And I was waiting for it too. I couldn't wait for that to happen. And he moved into his 1,800 square foot rental property in a nice area, Summerlin, but not Red Rock.
Right.
Now, not a super egomaniac, because a lot of people couldn't do that. Now, this is where being intelligent and knowing the laws. If you live in one of your rentals for 2 out of 5 years, it becomes a primary residence.
And you don't pay tax on the.
And you don't pay tax on
capital
the
gains.
capital gains.
Right.
Lived there 2 years, moved back into Red Rock after a couple of years.
At a lower price.
At a lower price, and then was able to sell the home in 2013, 14? 15?
14.
Somewhat. For how much? 375?
370.
375. Now, think about what happened in those 13 or 14 years. He collected income every single month. He saw it go from 170 to 410, back down to 170, back up to 375. Strategically moved in it, then pulled out all the money after never losing a penny on it, tax free, and did it right. That's the power of real estate if you have patience.
Yes.
Is that fair?
It's fair.
And you've done that pretty much on most of your properties, right?
All of them, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, people forget the story, right? So I was telling this story recently. My father's a self-made man, right? So you're looking at 1980, 1981, him and my mother get divorced, right? And now you're in debt and you own a house. And
the interest rates were 18% in 81. They got divorced the end of 81.
Exactly.
18% interest.
And he's a fireman, making what, like 35, 40 grand, right?
Yeah.
And commuting back and forth from the city. He was smart enough to buy, what was the first one, Belmont Avenue?
Wow.
Good memory, huh?
Yeah, but it wasn't Belmont, was it? Bellport Avenue.
Bellport Avenue, shit. So Bellport Avenue, that was a tiny house.
2 bedroom, 1 bath.
Nice piece of land.
Yeah.
I remember doing work on the house. We pulled a lot of stuff out of that.
Yeah. First rental.
First rental. Then he bought one. Did you buy the restaurant before that?
I bought the restaurant. Yeah.
Then you bought the one next to the restaurant.
Yeah, so we could have parking.
And then there was a third one.
I bought Libby's house on Tremont.
Now, you took some risk here.
I did. The first house I was really aggressive. I took a pension loan, a home improvement loan, and bought the house on that.
So, anyone in your life saying to do this, or are they saying you're out of your mind?
My mother was wringing her hands going, oh my God, you're going to have Dave, you're going to lose everything.
Yeah. Then, when you bought the restaurant with 3 other partners,
Then she really had enough.
what did you do? A second mortgage on the home, right?
Second mortgage to the house, yeah.
Yeah. So, why do we tell you this story? I mean, this is a self-made man. People see our lives now, and I'm like, listen, we weren't born with a silver spoon. We were born with a plastic spoon, right?
Not plastic. Not plastic.
Pops, I wore my sneakers till my big thumb toe came out, right?
That was
How many
Good
gifts
way to
for
learn.
Christmas and my birthday? How many gifts?
one toy, 1 clothes.
That's what I'm saying. It was a meager beginning. Is that fair? Is that fair? But
It was budgeted.
would you say real estate? I'll give you the best story. If you, for those of you in your 40s, I don't know if you guys remember this. You remember Voltron? So Voltron,
No,
I wanted this so badly. My buddy's birthday is in April. He got it. Okay. I had to wait till December to get. By the time I got Voltron, because it was $99,
Yeah.
which was expensive, super
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
By the time I got it, I didn't want it anymore because I had to wait so long. Can you picture kids now waiting 8 months for?
They should if they're in the budget.
Listen, the point of it is that real estate changed both of our lives. Would you
Yes.
say that? Even when you bought the restaurant and you had a great 10-year run, in the end, owning the building is where a ton of the value was. Tell the story of being smart of buying the building, because some commercial people on here too, right?
So when you rent a restaurant space, if you rent it and lease it, a lot of the lease prices are built on the money that you make.
Like a net.
Yeah.
A net
So
lease.
I said to my partners, I will go in it only if we own the building, because being a realtor guy.
Yep.
So we open it. I'm sitting on the front stoop sweating. I'm not going to kid you, because I said, what if no? Now we're down to no money at all. Matter of fact, I had to borrow some money to open it.
Joe Annunziata.
Right, and we opened to immediate success.
1989?
The numbers blew everybody. I mean, immediate success.
86.
Yeah, so 87. So what happened was that if we would have been renting it, we would have had to pay more and more money for the lease. In the case that we owned it, we were gathering equity rather than paying someone else the money.
But when you sold it,
Yes,
that a lot of the worth of the business
was in the building.
was in the building, almost to the point where if the person who bought the business screwed up the business, you could have foreclosed on the building and
Well,
got
I
the
made it
building
that
back.
way. It
right?
was that way, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of leverage. All right, so let's talk about this, right? So we talked about what does a $310,000 median price mean. We talked about is it possible to time the market, and should you even try? I don't believe you can time the market. I think you could time a certain house or a certain commercial building. Like if you look intelligently and you take emotion out of it. And that's what realtors are there to be. They're the ones that are supposed to be the voice of reason and to take the emotion out. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
So you've timed the market many times, right? Knock on wood, never lost. Me neither. Knock on wood, never lost. You taught me, don't fall in love. Everyone thinks they're going to be in this house forever.
Forever.
And they never are. Then they do all these very specific, expensive upgrades that they never get their money. His
Yeah.
houses are all vanilla, right?
Yes.
So explain that, right?
So when I say an investment, you always, all your buyers and sellers in my 42 years say, with the day they move in, I'm never gonna leave. Then three years later, you have twins, and now you don't have enough bedroom. You get a job transfer.
Your granddaughter moves away.
Right, and you're moving.
Yep.
When you do and invest in your home, you have to invest. So let's say you put in a sports court for $50,000, and I rather have a pool. The sports court value is only valuable to someone that wants the sports court.
Yeah, 'cause some people want grass.
Right, which is rare. So we were talking the other day, like someone has a pool home, and the people have 2 collies, and they said, I love the pool, but there's no place for my collies to run. Even in the pool scenario on my last big house, I put the pool, remember, on half of the yard, the other half of the yard, and I didn't have collies, I had a Jack Russell from L. I had grass, because I knew when I sold it, people with children could buy it. I always left the scenarios open. So any investment that you're doing, you always have to remember that life changes. And would the public like what you're doing to that?
Let's wrap it up. Buyers and sellers market, and I want to get into that for this last section. So I'm on board with this. Now I'm going to say this in a way that hopefully doesn't offend anybody. That's what a preface, right? How do the best jokes start? Like this. Right. So
Your jokes, yeah.
Arizona State. Okay, I went to Arizona State for 1 year. It was one of the best years of my life. I don't know if there's like this secret code that like the most beautiful women in every state, in Kansas and in Oregon and in Ohio, say, you know what, we're all going to go to Arizona State because it is the most. I've never seen more beautiful women in my entire life, right? But what was interesting is there were so many beautiful women that it was very common for any guy to be dating a beautiful woman, because there's so many beautiful women in there that they were more common, right? Because the demand was lower, right? You with me? Because the supply was high, the demand, it all worked out. So this is what I believe right now is going on in the market. How am I going to bring this metaphor? There's a lot of beautiful women out there, right? But the thing is, there's more of them. Fair? But because they think that these houses are worth more, they're still stuck in this, I deserve a hot guy, right?
Right.
It's just not the reality, because they're overpricing their homes. That is one of the reasons why we're not seeing a true seller's market, because what's happening is people can't afford to go that much higher. The loans are out there.
The appraisal won't come in.
The appraisal won't. So the demand is there, but you're just not getting it. And that is why we're seeing the prices inch up with the demand staying at 2.7 months, because people can't afford it. We keep hitting our heads on the top of the ceiling with this, right? But I know this true because I have a beautiful wife. If you don't put an offer in there, you're never going to know whether or not she's going to go on that date with you. And that's the same thing right now with these houses. They're priced a little high, and no one has the guts to put in maybe a controversial offer, or like it seems like a low ball. But if you put in that offer, you got a much better chance of getting that house.
I think that what buyers and sellers alike need to do, we are basically a track city. They need to look at the comparables sold before.
So
that is it.
You're missing the point a little bit.
No, I got your point.
The point is this: there's 2 houses in my community right now.
I know.
That are original sin, right?
One's $799.
One's $799. One's $880.
Yeah.
They are. You need new floors. You need a painted cabinet. You need everything.
They're ugly.
Right? We're getting into a point. Once I'm going to give you the line of demarcation. The minute that Halloween is over,
The minute the Christmas decorations are going up.
that's the best time to buy.
Yep.
And that's when I'm going to be looking at these houses, and I'm going to start putting in offers like $650,
Go for it.
because unemotional, slow time.
Right.
Most people not buying, and that is timing the market, right?
So again,
Interest
the
rates are
interest-
fantastic.
Are going to go down in those
Or,
months. The desirability of purchasing during the holidays drops.
Yeah.
So again, get off the fence and buy a house.
So let's go down this road. So this is how I'm going to play this. So you buy the house, and you got to be willing to walk, right?
Yeah.
And I think
emotion.
or just bring your emotion level down.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be able to walk, because they make the seller have to make a tough decision, right? One of these houses has been on the market since February.
Yep.
Right? And be like, oh, sorry, just makes sense. Then in these cases, I put 100 in, right? No more. And then I would do two things. Basically, I do one thing with 2 options. I put it up for like $950, and I put it for rent for like $5,500. Either way,
You're good.
we're good, right? Because the interest rate on the money I borrow, I'll put 20% down to get the best rates, put a little bit more in on the house. Now I may be able to make $1,500 to $2,000 a month, or I can make a quick 100, flip and go. Now we're using higher end, there's bigger margins, bigger risk, right? But same thing on that house sitting there for $399 or sitting there for $420, that's really worth $350, right? You put in that offer. Listen, agents earn their money. Put offers in. Why do you think investors win? And that's why investors are a little scared right now, right? Because they're not doing the work to look to see what's out there.
I think that you have to do it fast, because it's a flipper, especially the money is on the is being paid. You pay for the money.
Yeah.
So, and I think you got to price it right and make it pretty, and they always win.
I still to this day agree with that.
And I think that the youth need to buy houses. Because Carly put yesterday, when's the first time you bought a house? How old were you when you bought a house your first
Well,
time?
you forced me to. I mean, it was, what was it? Was it La Madre?
Yeah, it's in your name.
Yeah. So I mean, I never lived in it, but
21.
you made me buy a rental at like 20 or 21. Yeah.
So people were saying, and most of the people bought their first house in their 20s, early 20s.
Yeah.
And
Well, also the
if
boomers.
if the interest rates go up versus the payment, this money is so cheap right now that people are going to say, man, why didn't I buy now
Well,
when my payment was cheap?
and that's one of the things of time in the market, right? People try to time it and they don't take into account all the factors. Like, you really have to say, if I get the house for $75,000 less, but I have to pay 1.5% more on the interest rate, have you really gotten a better deal?
No.
If it's a cash deal, you did.
Right.
But even then, you got to look at the value of the money.
You make me want to go out and buy more rental houses.
I know.
But I've sold all my rental houses. Leave me alone.
But do you feel like demand? I mean, so the
Well, the rental demand is the highest it's ever been in the city.
So let's finish it with this. The biggest point that I have not mentioned. The reason why is because demand is outpacing supply. And that is the simplest economic example. And what does that mean? There are way too many people and not enough houses and places to live. That's why you're seeing rentals go everywhere. Apartment complexes are everywhere. Too many bodies, not enough beds.
All right.
It's simple math. And one of the best things that come out of the recession is the builders stopped building for almost, 8 years? They stopped completely building, and they put us at a negative deficit on beds. And now they're not building enough per year. We covered that. 10,000 houses here. This is a nationwide issue with the 4 Ls. Not enough beds. More and more people. So...
And our economy, we're building new casinos, we're building new projects. We're going to need more people to work all those jobs.
So I say buy.
Me too. I said buy.
And I say but it is a buyer's market in most of these situations, but the same community I'm talking about, one of the houses was actually my house being resold. I sold it to someone and they resold it. And it went like that. They went a little high because it's updated, but it's not updated 2019. It's updated like 2013, right? It still went for $890. Whereas the same model, I'm talking about offering $650. That's what's so crazy about the market. On one end, it was a seller's market. On the other end, it's a buyer's market. You must know the in-between. You got to know the history. You got to know what it looks like. You got to know all these little things.
And that's why it takes a great real estate agent to sell you the house.
Yeah.
Because not being in the market, you can't get all the information you just said.
So you do want to buy now. You want to jump back in?
Not with
Want to
you.
pool our money?
I knew already. I said not with you.
Don't worry, we're going to create, I got a lot of friends who want to jump back in. So
Good.
Well, there's a lot of opportunity. So listen, there is no one answer. There's not one Nostradamus effect on this. The reality is you got to take many things into account. You got to know the right time to move, right? My buddy I was telling you about last week, I said, let's wait, because he's in a great house now. I said, let's see where he looks at in Thanksgiving. Now he's on the market 90 days. He's got no love. It's quiet. You love your house, but if you can get it at this price, you make the offer then. You make a cash offer and go for it. You do it on your terms. That's that high level trusted advisor we talked about.
Yep.
What's your parting shot on buy, sell, what you should do?
I got myself excited to go buy another rental home, like I need another one. But my parting shot is with the stats, with the stability of Las Vegas right now and low interest rates. Price right, sell right. Now is the time. 43% of our buyers are coming from California because of the tax laws. Ours are favorable and staying favorable. Do it now.
And even if you screw it up, let's say you buy the wrong house. What are some things you know for sure? You're going to have a great interest rate, right? You're probably going to be able to rent it. If you do things intelligently, what we weren't saying, we talked about it. We never bought zero down. We bought with 20%. We always had equity. We always had cash flow, which means that what it cost for us to run the house monthly versus what we were taking in monthly, it never was an albatross for us. We didn't say, oh, it cost us $1,500 a month and we're making $1,500 a month. It cost us $800 a month and we're making $1,500 a month. So it was never this, oh my God, having this is going to put me in a desperate situation. So you have to put yourself in the best situation. We never bought the great deal that backed the street. We didn't mess with that because we knew when time to sell, it would hurt you. These are the little things. So emotionless and intelligence and go.
You got it.
All right, that's all we got for you today. See you in 2 weeks.